Welcome to For Collectors.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to For Collectors. For Collectors, my name is Sammy Thunder. Welcome to another Sunday live stream. That intro never gets old. So tonight, guys, I've always been intrigued by the backstories that collectors have about their channels, about their collecting days, why they started a channel, what sort of things have they noticed over time, have they pivoted, have they created new, have they established a new path, a new direction in their collection, or a new direction in where they want their channel to go. So, and we never really kind of discussed these things. At least some channels do, but some channels don't, and kind of go through the notions and just go continue with their path and kind of let things kind of go the way that it's destined to go, I guess. But I wanted to bring these two channels on tonight. These two guys, wanted to bring them on because I feel as though, and I think we discussed this a little bit, is that they kind of started roughly around the same time and have really made a mark in the community in their own way. So I'm going to bring them in now. Tonight we have Doug from Joe Wood Collector, as well as Warren D and CLE, as we were talking about in the back. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
How we doing today?
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. I mean, we were talking before. I mean, fantastic, in from our own personal life, but it's sad. We were just talking before the sadness about Rickey's passing, as out of nowhere. I know, he's one of the most remarkable players of all time in terms of his contributions. But what are your takeaways from Rickey?
Oh, he was just a phenomenal player. I was just reading earlier today that if you take his stolen bases, his total stolen bases, and times it by 90 foot, that he has stolen 24 miles of stolen bases.
That's a heck of a stat right there.
That's like a marathon.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Rickey is one of my all-time favorites. Love watching the way he played the game. And we all know that Rickey loved Rickey. You know what I mean? And he wasn't afraid to tell you. But I think what made him so special is that when he said he was going to do it, he did it. He did what he was saying. So, in my opinion, the greatest leadoff hitter ever. He won so many games just by himself.
Yeah.
If he only got a single, you knew he was going to turn it into a double, if not a triple.
Right. In my lifetime, yeah, by far, he was the greatest leadoff hitter that I can remember.
For sure.
I think he has the career most leadoff home runs in history.
Yes.
Definitely.
Some
absurd number. But
I think the exact. I wasn't prepared for Rickey stats, but he's and he gets a bad rap too because he played on a lot of teams. But his numbers are still. He belongs there. If you haven't watched this Hall of Fame speech, you should check it out. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
pretty fun.
Its consistency over 25 years was just phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely, Doug. Absolutely. Yeah. So, but fun. So, it is.
So there you go. Let me.
There you go.
I get the right screen on there. So hang tight. Oh, I messed it. There we go. Let me bring you over.
Yeah, come on now.
The Rickey rookie.
Yeah, that's the big boy.
I love this card, and it's part of my collecting story too. You know what I mean? That's why I showed it. Since we're talking, might as well show it. It just makes. It's all part of it. It's connections.
Well, let's start there, because we'll start with you, Warren, because if it's part of your collecting journey, aside from the Rickey Henderson rookie card, let's talk a little bit just about where your collecting started. Like, what was the time frame of how you got into it? Were you always continuously into it, or did you stop and get back into it? Share with us a little bit on that.
I definitely stopped and got back into it. Once I got married and kids and everything, I just lost touch. And every once in a while, I'd buy a pack here in the 90s and 2000s and stuff, but never really collected. My journey began. I got my first pack of cards in 1983. 1983 Fleer pack. Believe it or not, it was a cello pack. And
I remember those.
Yeah, I pulled a Tony Gwynn.
Oh man, that's special.
First pack, huh?
And my dad goes, you know what? That guy can hit, and he's a really darn good player. He goes, take care of that card. Well, I did. So
so that's the original. That's from the original pack.
Yes.
That is incredible. Cool.
Yeah.
When did you send that in?
Oh, geez. It's been a while. I can't remember. It's been many, many, many years.
So from the time that you
were protected, and back then when I did it, Beckett was the primo.
Right.
And I just wanted that card to be protected. And when it came back, when I saw a 9, I was like, oh my! I was so relieved, man. It's like, because I knew I took care of that card.
Very nice.
And it just,
let me go back a second here. So you ripped that pack in '83, right? Of the cello pack, and so years later, so that card. I mean, I don't know when top loader. Like, I guess it was it in a screw down, or what was it in to keep it pristine like that?
You had it. I had it in between. It was plastic wrap and pieces of cardboard, and then I had it rubber bands around it.
Wow.
And that was it. And then when top loaders came out, eventually when I had access to a top loader, it went in there. I did have it in a screw down for a while. My dad's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. And believe me, because I know I have screw downs over here that I don't even use, but I have trouble getting rid of them. I don't know why.
I used to keep my original cards in rubber bands and cigar boxes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And saying they had binders back then. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. See, my time frame was mostly in the 90s, so I don't exactly know what the supply situation looked like in the 80s.
Yeah. But it was I will never sell that card. It's never going anywhere. It'll probably get buried with me. But so that was it. And then as we kept going and I started getting more cards, and I remember trick-or-treating back in the day, and there was a house that was giving away packs of cards. So once we found out that they were doing that, me and my buddies would go and change costumes and all that and keep going back to the house to get packs of cards until they got wise on us and they stopped giving them to us.
I would do the same thing.
But it was just a great memory. And I look back to all the cards, and I wish I had some of the cards. I didn't destroy some of the cards I had, even from the 80s. And I wasn't really even thinking about vintage. For me, the 80s and 90s and stuff, those are the big connections for me because I watched these players play the game. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Clemente and Ted Williams and Mazeroski and Al Kaline. And I got cards of those guys that I'll show too because I have connections to them from my father and just stories about his dad's favorite players and all that kind of stuff. And the other reason I showed the Rickey card is my stepdad's favorite player is Rickey Henderson. And I called him yesterday. He didn't hear it. I called him and told him, I said, did you hear Rickey died, he's like, what? So he was kind of taken back, and so it was just, it's a connection for us. But part of this whole collecting journey is that I get to share a lot of this time and with my dad. My dad's still around, and he still deals. He does a lot of football and hockey and stuff like that. But in fact, most of it I've been trying to sell for him on eBay and things like that. But we used to like go to shows and set up as a dealer and buy, sell, trade. And same thing with my stepdad. So my stepdad and dad got along, and we all did it together. And my brother did a little bit, but he was never really more into cards. But it's all about the connections, and that's why Rickey is special to me. And you guys can see behind me, I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to collecting. I have memorabilia and autograph balls and cards, and if I got just oddball amount of stuff. I mean, here's an oddball thing. It fits right into what we're talking about here. A Ted Williams bait casting reel.
Wow.
And this thing is gorgeous, man. And actually, it has a little bit of use on it. You could tell somebody was using it, but it's just a great piece that I love and cherish. And it sits over here, and I get to look at it every day.
Yeah.
I wonder if Mark Boyle had those.
But that's all part of it. It's all about connections to me. And, here, this right here, this was the very first vintage card that I ever received. 66 Maris.
That's a tough one to find centered.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely off-centered, but it's super clean. And I've had this since I was probably 12 years old.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I didn't know who Roger Maris was back when I was 12 years old. But then that put me on a path that I became infatuated with Roger Maris and the story of the 61 home runs. And hey, man, we're here to show stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when I found this, I fell in love with it. Sorry, get my angle right here. There you go.
What is that exactly?
It's a 1961 preseason magazine that has Maris on the cover. And in the articles in here, it talks about, Maris is a great player, but Mantl's going to win the home run title that year, this year. When I found this, I lost it. I was like, a 61 preseason magazine that has Maris on the cover, and I was like, what? Had to have it.
Well, that's funny. If they thought that they would put Maris on the cover and not Mantle.
Yeah, just insane. And just it's just so fun to have, and this is never going anywhere either. So it's just a fun piece. I've had that for a long time too. That's probably one of my first memorabilia things that I found back in the day, and I bet you I paid $5 for it.
So Warren, let's want to fast forward a little bit.
Yeah. Sure.
So this was kind of like the early days in your collecting, as far as getting into the hobby, and obviously things progress. You got out of the hobby, interest changed perhaps, but now fast forward, you got back into it again. So right. I want to ask you that. We're gonna jump over to Doug and ask kind of a similar question as well. But so as far as getting back into it, what was the thing that drew you back in?
3 hip replacements. I know that sounds funny. I only have 2 hips, but they had to redo the first one because, anyway, I had 3 hip replacements in 1 year, so I had plenty of time.
Interesting.
To sit around and discover sports card videos on YouTube.
Wow.
I never even watched YouTube back. It started in 2020, really. And I'm just like, I didn't even know it was a thing. And so I started watching channels, and I'm like, you know what? I wasn't working at that time, and I was recovering. So I got all my cards out, started sorting them again, see, man, I forgot I had this, and I forgot I had this, and forgot this, and just started unpacking it. And there I went right down the rabbit hole. Boom, right back in it, and then
What
been
would
doing
spark
it ever since.
because I mean, was it just because you had you had time and you thought about it just out of the blue, or was something, or did you just like rediscover it when you were looking through a closet or something?
Yeah, stuff was sitting on a shelf, just in boxes. Nothing was out. And
So that's the big
this-
story of the whole COVID, is that people had time on their hands and didn't have anything to do, and they refound their collections.
Just that happy feeling you get inside, just looking at the players and reading the backs of the cards and smelling these old cards, and it just sparked all these great memories that I could not just pass up. And my wife would see me smile. She goes, "What are you doing? You're looking at a dude on a card." I love this card. I forgot about this card. And even now, man, it gives me goosebumps thinking about how much I love what we do and how all of us collect and share memories together now. Because now here on this, we don't collect alone anymore. And that's what makes it so great.
Very true.
But enough about me. Let's hear about Doug.
We're gonna come back because there's a continuation with that, but yeah, we'll jump over to Doug. Kind of along the similar questions I was asking Warren here. Coming into the hobby, was it similar to Warren's in that you got into it at a young age, stopped, and then got back into it, or were you always continuously into it?
No, my journey started in Little League Baseball. I would go between games, I would go to the canteen, to get some pop or to get some bubble gum. And the big thing at the time was baseball cards. And this was in 1969. And my buddies kept saying, well, we're buying packs, skip on a bubble gum and just get the pack of cards. So I remember opening a few packs of 69 baseball cards. And that's pretty much all it took. I was hooked.
Do you remember who you got in that pack?
No, I do not. Now, I think the little league team that I played for the first year was the Red Sox. So I remember thinking it would be neat to get a Rico Petrocelli or a Carl Yastrzemski, somebody from the Red Sox. I don't think I really hit. I think I only opened 4 or 5 packs, and then it kind of went by the wayside. But I knew that right then I wanted to buy some more cards, and but I didn't really start collecting cards until 71. 71 was the big year for me.
And so then, you got into it buying the 1971 Topps. Is that what it was? Around that was
started with the baseball. I remember my uncle bringing me home the 71 rack packs and opening those packs and trying to put a set together. Of course, as a kid, you don't realize that 71 Topps comes in series. So if you start in the beginning of the year and try to put a set together, because they came in series, that was a tough chore. Very tough chore. And I never got my 71 set together as a kid. Unfortunately, we started buying football when football came out, and 71 football cards came out in about the 4th or 5th series of the high numbers of the baseball. So you never really got to finish your set. But I didn't realize that at the time.
So I want to kind of ask this question. When you were going back to the baseball 71, when you were buying these packs, you definitely got duplicates, because I'm sure. I mean, you must have gotten duplicates.
Oh yeah.
So in the neighborhood, Were your friends? Were you trading? Were you doing any trades where you would say, "All right, I have this duplicate Jerry Kuzman. I need this for my set. Do you have it?" Was that going on?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Probably the most key card in the set for us was the checklist, because you had no other way to determine what was in the set and who you needed. So it was a very, very valuable tool. And I started out collecting just by teams. So you get your team checklist, and then you start marking it off and try to figure out who you needed. But when you're buying by series, you had 150, 160 cards per series. So if you bought a lot of the first series cards, you had a lot of duplicates. But back then, a card was a card. You had favorite players that you liked, but if you already had that player, you were willing to trade a big star for a common.
Let me go back to that a second. Yeah. So let's say you had two of the same player.
Yes.
And so you're willing to get a common for the other card. Did you look at the two cards and think which one was better, or did that not even come into mind?
Oh, no. A card was a card. Wow. Condition meant nothing to us. The players, you had favorite players, but if you had two of that player, you didn't mind. A trade that I remember was I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, so our local team was the Cincinnati Reds. So I remember thinking, I want a Johnny Bench and I want a Pete Rose. Yeah. I had several Johnny Benches, and I remember thinking I need a Lee May. I would just trade the bench for the Lee May straight up. I mean, a card was a card, and there was no value attached to them. Mm-hmm. At that time. It was only you had it or you didn't have it.
So the centering didn't matter. The cards condition didn't matter. It was purely like the aesthetic of the card didn't matter. You would just pick one of the duplicates you had at random, and then take it off to the person who had the Lee May and make the trade.
Yes. Now I've always been kind of a little OCD, even as a kid.
Yeah.
So I mean, the black bordered 71s, I always liked them like they come out of the packs. Now they come out of the packs off center, something fierce, but they were nicely cut, and they had the nice black borders, and they had, most of the time they had 3 out of the 4 sharp corners. So if I was doing the trade, I would look for it, but that wasn't the deciding factor. Not at all.
The only reason why I ask these questions is because I feel as though, I'm on, I guess, I obviously didn't start collecting until really the 90s. So that's a huge jump. And at that time, I mean, in the 90s, collecting started kind of shifting over. Even in the 80s, I think started shifting over into more of like, condition, sensitivity, and understanding, like seeing how the hobby has kind of shifted in that direction.
Right.
But it's interesting. I mean, I think there's people out there that don't know, that don't realize that, including myself, because I'm learning as I'm talking with you guys. I didn't realize, like, all right, well, if you have 2 of the same card, did condition matter? And clearly it did not. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I would like to have my Johnny Bench back for that Lee May trade.
So you were collecting the 71 tops. How did collecting stop and come back again? Like for
I collected up until I think about 1975. I remember opening some 76 tops packs, but I didn't put any sets together. My first full set I put together was 1974, and that was the year that they stopped the series. Stopped the series, and they actually put a factory set out that year also. So when you bought your card, you were able to, if you bought enough packs, you were able to actually collate and put a set together. That was the first year. So I remember being pretty excited that you could collate and buy enough packs and trade and put a 74 and 75 top set together. But I think I bailed out of cards in 76. That's the last year I remember collecting. You get to the age where cars and girls and friends are, a lot more important. And I didn't pick up collecting again until I think probably 1980.
So interesting. 1980. What re-sparked it?
I think I had a buddy that I went to a garage sale, and it was in my old neighborhood. And I had a buddy that had an older brother, and he had all his old cards. He was like 3 years older than me. He had his old cards. And when I seen that there was 1968 and 1969 tops in there, it sparked my interest and brought a lot of those feelings back. So I bought all those for practically nothing. Even in 1980, there really wasn't a bunch of price. There was no price guides. It was just pretty much free range. Whatever you liked, you picked up. And then I remember thinking, shortly after that, I bought in 1981, I bought the 52 tops mantle, which had always been kind of a dream card, but I didn't know it as a kid. I wasn't even aware of it as a kid. But as I got to be an older young adult, I realized that was the card to have. And,
do you still have it?
No, I do not.
Oh.
I remember it. I owned it for about 2 years. And if I had to say, of course, grading wasn't a thing back then, but condition was still probably in the 4 to 5 range on the mantle. So I bought it for, I'm not even sure I should probably say how much I paid for it, but it was, at the time, I thought it was a lot of money. Now, looking back, it was nothing. It was a drop in the bucket. And then I ended up selling the car 2 or 3 years later, probably in 83 or 84, for what I thought was a small fortune. I would love to buy that car back now for what I sold it for.
If we only knew then what we know now.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
But it's all hindsight, really. I mean, come on.
Right. And I still got to experience it. And I remember holding it and looking at the stats, thought it was, a really neat card. So I did get to experience it.
So you had a second spark back into it. Did that eventually flame out, or are we continuing to today?
There's been times where I've had a hiatus for months, maybe close to a year, but since 1981, I've been in it solid.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's truly remarkable. I feel as though going on that journey between 81 and now is like a totally separate live stream episode. So out of respect for the time that we have, I don't know if we have time to go through that, but I do want to kind of move towards your creating a channel.
Right.
So
right.
Why create a channel? What was the reason for? Also, okay, we'll continue with Doug since we were talking, and then we'll jump back to you, Warren. Why create the channel? What was the reason? What did you want to? What was the goal for creating a channel?
Right. Well, I kind of collected in a bubble for many, many, many years. It was hard to find somebody, another collector, that was willing to say, "Hey, I really enjoy baseball cards." And through the early '80s, baseball card shows weren't very frequent. You really had to travel to find a card show, so meeting other people was tough. So fast forward to about 2016, 2017, I was trying to get ideas for my new card room and kind of my man cave. And so somebody said, "Hey, why don't you go on YouTube and try to find some ideas?" So I hopped on YouTube and thought, I never thought of that. I've used a YouTube for information as far as like working on vehicles or a tutorial, something like that, but I'd never thought of it with baseball cards. So I hopped on there, and the very first video that I saw was Mike Baseball Collector, and he had just put out a video on his card room, and I thought, well, good grief, there's actually people utilizing YouTube for baseball cards, and they're using that to as their motor to pick up other cards, to communicate. And so I thought, well, how many other channels are like that? So I started nosing around, and really was a constant watcher of YouTube videos, baseball card content for a number of years. But again, even with my few handful of card buddies, I wanted to explore and find out, how many other people are out there. So I decided to, in just last year, that I was just going to take the dive and get into trying to broaden my horizons with more people and see how many other people that I could find out there and meet and interconnect with. So it's been a total joy. I've had so many friends and acquaintances now. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful.
So for anybody that's curious, I'm bringing up Doug's channel here, the Joe Wood Collector. We haven't even gone into the Joe Wood part yet. So there's definitely, there's definitely a reason, obviously a reason for it. And so, yeah, 8 videos, 285 subscribers, just a lot of great different episodes, and it definitely looks like you're focusing a lot on the pre-war stuff.
That's pretty much. There's a story behind that. I really, really enjoy the pre-war material. From 1981 until probably 2012, 2014 era, I collected 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I would buy high-grade material of Hall of Famers. Then I got into the PSA registry set, pretty heavy. I was number 3 on the Rod Carew registry set and the master set. But I finally got to the point where I was never going to get any higher than the number 3 on the registry set without spending stupid money on what I thought was cards that I was getting no enjoyment out of. So I was going to have to pay some crazy money for PSA 10s of, 1981 tops, baseball, 1983, 85, 86. And I said, okay, I guess this is the end of where I want to be on this. And always in the back of my mind, I wanted to go older. I love the history of baseball. So I took the dive into selling all of my PSA registry sets and going straight into pre-war. and I have not looked back. I absolutely love it.
Very
That's
good,
all.
man.
Yeah. So Warren, I'm gonna shift it over to you, buddy. You created a channel, clearly, and so walk me through. What was the why did you create a channel? What was the goal for you in creating content for your collection?
I think at first I didn't really have a goal because I didn't know where this was going to take me. Like I said, up until I had no idea. I knew YouTube existed, but I didn't know. I was just watching sports stuff and highlights and things like that. I didn't know that there were sports card channels on YouTube. No clue whatsoever. So call me naive or whatever. But once I started figuring it out, I started watching stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I think I could do this. And for whatever reason, believe it or not, here's how I started. And Sammy, you know this already. I started on For Collectors with Theo. Did a card room tour because I watched a card room tour. I forget who the gentleman was, but Theo had said something like, "Hey, if you want to show off your card room or whatever, email me." I'm like, yeah, I want people to see what I have.
I remember that video.
I said, yeah, I want to let people see what I have. So I emailed, and as they say, and that for me, it was a disaster because I was shaking so bad. People thought I was nervous, and obviously I'm not. I've been on TV, I've been on the radio. I'm not afraid to be in front of a camera, but I was on massive amounts of steroids at the time, so I was like shaking, like So it's kind of funny. And I had mentioned there that, hey, I've been thinking about doing a channel. And then once I started seeing people comment, dude, you should totally do a channel. And, Theo was like, yeah, man, you should. And then I see a comment from Lou Rock, believe it or not, like, dude, you got some good stuff. Do it. So finally, and I'm coming up 1 year, New Year's Day, I believe that's, my first. I said, I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. Let's do this. And I really didn't have a direction of how I wanted to do it. And I contemplated, I'm like, I don't script anything. I don't re-record anything. I kind of write down some notes of what I want to talk about. And if I get to it, I get to it. If not, I'm just going to show stuff and talk, and I didn't want to be like an opinionated video. And like there's other venues for seeing hobby news and all that kind of stuff. And that's it. If somebody asks me my opinion, I'm going to give it. That's why I love when Mangini did his hobby president. Hey, tell me what you would do if you were the hobby president. So I voiced my opinion, but now that I really get into it, I've made so many great friends and so many connections in the hobby that it benefits me to have. You can never have too many friends and too many connections. And it's just, to me, it's about, I do the channel I love doing it for one, because it's just fun for me to do, but I love to hear people's reactions, and whether good, bad, or otherwise, because I don't know everything, not even close. I've learned so much, and I think that's another reason why I wanted to do it, is to be a part of the community and help broaden my horizons, and by seeing other people's collections and how they collect, and learn about new cards that I forgot about or never even knew existed. And that's, to me, that's some of the best parts. And believe me, I've shown stuff and people go, I never knew that set existed. Like the 1992 Donruss Learning Series. I had a lot of comments on that one. And I have it over there and I forgot to bring it. But you know what 92 Donruss looks like? It just has a little insignia on it. Anyway. But people didn't know it existed. And I think to me, that's really what it's all about. And I just wanted to show people what I had because I had so much stuff sitting in boxes, but now I just want to show it off. Because what good is it doing sitting in a box? And you know, that's why I like to share stuff too. I'll send people stuff. Yeah, some of it might be, you know, not worth a lot of money or just junk wax. But hey, if it's just sitting in a box, it's not being enjoyed. And to me, that's what we do here. Show cards, enjoy them, love them. Hopefully somebody gets some enjoyment out of what I do and what we all do here. You're not going to please everybody. It's just the way it goes.
Yep. So that's, the one thing that really kind of demonstrates, I mean, Stu kind of put it best, infectious enthusiasm. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of see with your channel, man. I mean, you really kind of you wear your heart in your sleeve here with like you really commit to the VRs for others and really kind of, again, that's really kind of showing that support and really, and part of that, like doing all those videos, it kind of not locks you, like locks is the wrong word, but it kind of secures your, like people get to know who you are through your support. And so, I mean, the VRs, and you can see like almost every other video is a VR, which that really shows. And so I do encourage, both, for Doug and Warren, I mean, I'm sharing their pages, and I really do encourage you guys, because we have 48 people watching, and I think we can get a lot of people to kind of, to continue showing support back to you guys. Because I think your journeys are very interesting, from where you started collecting and how you got back into it. And so, I mean, have you guys, let me close the screen share and get back to this question. Since you started, and it seems like you guys are still kind of going on the same path, but has there been anything that you would change about your channel?
I've considered this many times, about production value, and I've talked to some other folks about it, and I'm like, I'm thinking about maybe adding a little startup screen, maybe add a little music, and in all honesty, a lot of the folks that say that, no, Warren, just be you, man. Just keep being positive and just be you. And I think that's the way I want to do it, but maybe change my background more often. I just want to keep things simple. For many years, I told you before, I was a chef and I was never home. My life was complicated and stressed, and that's not what I want it to be. I don't want this to be a job for me. I don't need to monetize my channel. Would it be nice? Sure it would. Who wouldn't? But I don't mind just doing this and making new friends, and hopefully people get enjoyment out of it. And if I just want to move forward, it'd just be kind of like, maybe just be able to add a little sniglets of screens here and there. And I've been playing with it, but I've been taking people's advice. They've been doing this longer than I have, and they're like, dude, just be you. So that's kind of where I'm at.
It seems like Stephen with a PH agrees with you. Your channel is awesome, Warren. Nothing needs to change.
Thanks, Stephen. Man,
I agree.
Doug, what about you, man? I mean, I know you've done 8 videos so far, and again, similar path. You're sticking with a theme that, to me, kind of looks more of like pickups and providing some education as well through the Glory of Their Times videos that you've done. But is there anything you would change on your part, or are you sticking to your script?
Well, I would change one thing. It would be that I would be more like Warren. I was all caught up in putting out what I thought was good material. and I really don't think that my personality is the same as Warren's. I wish it was. So I leaned more towards the education part, the history of baseball, some to give some education as far as sets that I like, that I'm very familiar with from pre-war, the pre-war baseball players, and the history. And so that's kind of the path I've taken. But I think I got too caught up in the beginning, and I think that's the reason why I have 8 videos is that instead of just showing my face and being myself, I wanted to put out something quality. And I really stressed myself because I had to learn a lot of stuff that I was very unfamiliar with. And that's really what I struggled with in the beginning. I didn't want to show my face and put my personality out there initially. And I was more worried about the production quality of what I was putting out. So,
Well, I think
yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it still, and that's why the video quantity is only 8. I have 4 or 5 videos that I cannot seem to complete. I have all the material together. I've got bits and pieces, and for whatever reason, well, it's the time of season also. I'm just really busy, but there's a lot of videos that I'd like to finish and get put out there.
I feel with your Glory of Their Times background, I assume you read the book at this point.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I read that book, and it really, really has gone a long way with me. Of course, the one person who stood out the most for me in that book was obviously Joe Wood. So when I got back into pre-war, that was my thing. I wanted to collect. I still want to collect every Joe Wood card I can get a hold of. So now, not to say that I don't collect other pre-war cards, but yeah, definitely Joe Wood is my concentration.
I think at some point we need to do a panel with you, Tony from Southern Collector, and myself. I'm still working on finishing Glory of Their Times. It's so captivating to read through each story.
I've read that. I can't put the book down once I pick it up.
It's. I love the education that's given me. It was such a joy to read that book.
Too, Warren?
Yeah, and I listened to it when I've listened to it in earbuds too.
The audio, right? Yeah. Off of YouTube.
Well, yeah, Spotify, whatever it was. It was just great.
Right. Yeah, it's awesome.
I did both. Really I did the double dose.
Did you?
I would highly suggest that book to any baseball fan. No matter what you collect, I think you would just learn a lot.
Right.
Do you guys have a favorite? I mean, I guess Joe Wood is your favorite from the book. But do you? I mean, is there another player or that was your favorite read?
I got a big kick out of Heine Groh from the book. I just thought that was a really, really interesting story. And I won't go into any detail about it because I really highly suggest that if you have any interest in early baseball, that you have to read that book.
I love the Rube Marquardt story.
Yes.
That
is one of the videos that I'm working on right now. I'm struggling to getting that one finished, but it should be good.
Warren, what about you? Do you have a favorite from that?
Yeah, the Marquardt story because of the Cleveland connection.
Yeah.
Just kind of hit.
It's also what I found interesting. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a lot of love for Nap Lajoie in that book.
Yes.
There's a lot of love for Nap Lajoie. And
he's highly respected.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fun, man.
I'm about halfway done with the book, and it's like you end up getting sucked into their stories, and then you realize like, oh my God, I'm already like 3 baseball players, and
Yeah.
in its time has passed. It's incredible. Very easy read for anybody. So I will definitely preach what you guys are saying to everybody that recommending the book.
For sure.
All right. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I'd wanted to ask you guys? But I think, we really covered a lot of ground as far as your collecting, where it's taken you, how you started a channel, is there anything you change? And obviously, you guys are still, you're still continuing with it. Well, I guess the final thing I'll ask is, Warren, I know you're going to be at Strongsville. Doug, is it feasible for you to get there this year?
Yes, I already have my reservations for both Strongsville and the Nationals.
Fantastic. That's going to be great, man. I look forward to
Forward to seeing
Strongsville.
both of you guys.
Yes. B. Roth and I will be driving from New York all the way to Strongsville.
I bet that is a blast.
I was thinking this year, I forget who it was that told me, but somebody suggested that I should go to Christy Mathewson's gravesite because I think it's like a small detour, but it's on the way.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It would.
But we'll see. We'll see.
But yeah, just such a blast, man. Really, really appreciate the Sammy that you asked me to be a part of this, and Doug, I love I love every video. I've watched them a couple times each.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
The education is great as well, and so just so fun, man.
Yeah, I do have fun with it. I sometimes stress over it, but I really do enjoy it.
Perfect, guys. Well, is there anything you want to mention before we adjourn?
I
just want to say that I appreciate you having me on the show tonight and getting to talk to Warren and you. I like immensely both of your guys' shows, both class acts. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Anything, Warren, you want to mention?
No, I don't have any big plans come up or anything like that. I got to catch up on some videos and a couple VRs and all that kind of stuff. And, the one thing I do want to mention to people is that it's very hard to watch everything.
Sure.
In every video and every channel. So here's how I do it. I pick a few channels each day or week, and I watch a few here and there or do what I can. And if I can't always watch, I'll listen to it while I'm working. At least, because if you're mentioning the card, I know what it looks like. I want to hear about it and learn more stuff. So, just don't stress over it. This is all fun, guys.
Yeah. Sammy, before we go,
yeah,
I'd like to show a card.
Oh,
I've just recently picked up, and obviously I'm a little excited about it. I won this in the last REA auction. There's a little bit of a backstory. This is the, I don't know if you can see that or not. This is the 1914 Cracker Jack,
wow.
which is very, very special to me. I had been putting off getting this card for quite a long time. 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would see them show up on eBay probably 2 or 3 times a year, and they were reasonably priced. And then they just started climbing and climbing. I already had the 1915 Cracker Jack, and it's the exact same card, exact same front, has the exact same reverse other than the orientation. So I wasn't all that motivated to get this. But then it got to the point where it's like, if I'm going to be known as Joe Wood Collector and I don't have this 1914 Cracker Jack, there's a hole there. So I just decided all the all the planets aligned for me, and I was able to purchase the card and win it in the auction, and I am thrilled with it.
Congratulations. That's a
Yeah,
beauty.
congrats, man. That is an absolute thing of beauty to have in any collection.
And the best part for me is I can stop stressing on not having this marked off on my checklist. just like what we talked before. Checklists are very important to me. Early in the tops,
Yeah.
I put my team sets together. I use the checklist. I would like to mark that box off, and I've got the box marked off finally. Now I can move on and start concentrating and working on my next big purchase. Because the hunt is at least half the fun for me. Hunt, and then the history, and then the camaraderie of the whole community. So that's what really makes it for me.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Well, that's a great way to end it, guys. I don't think we can top that. So appreciate you guys coming on tonight. This is great. I thought we had a great dialogue, and a lot of people seem to be engaged in the chat. So I appreciate everybody in the chat interacting. There's a pretty heavy dialogue there as well. So we'll catch up soon. We'll see each other at Strongsville for sure.
Definitely.
Be sure to check out both channels. Doug with Joe Wood Collector and Warren D and CLE. Make sure that you subscribe to their channels, because obviously you learn more about their channels and their stories. So it's important that we continue this support and continue their journey. So thank you, everybody. Subscribe
Yes,
to
thank you.
as well if you have time. Take care.
All right.